So last year, we did a video showing you about the beauty and joy in the wilderness of Alaska in the time of COVID. But COVID is still with us this summer in 2021. And this year, I want to show you how the beauty lives on. We were not fearful of COVID because we weren't with other people, except for very close friends who had been quarantined. And so we were totally safe. But on the other hand, we were amongst bears and grizzly bears and fish and moose and caribou and other animals that were breathtaking. And everyone in this wilderness was living in the peace that comes sometimes from the separation from the busy, crazy hustle and bustle life we live every day in the cement and concrete city or towns, and instead living out here in the mountains and the lakes and the glaciers and the waterfalls and the rivers and streams with the fish and the grizzly bears. It's a really peaceful time to reflect and not just to live what Thoreau called our lives of quiet desperation. It is hard to imagine the vastness of this open wilderness without any other souls around but us, unless you just fly on this little bush plane up to the top of a mountain, have your lunch, and then scoot back off the mountain in the plane and fly all around these 5.5 million acres of Lake Clark National Park, with beautiful, incredible green, gray, and black mountains and rolling hills and tundra and lakes and waterfalls and snow-capped mountains, just as far as the eye can see. It's our playground. If you're in a boat in intricate bay, it's very easy to get lost and never get out. But then we fly across the Chigmits south toward Katmai, and finally come back and land at Port Allsworth, so we're ready to go back to the lodge. We head home taking stunning pictures every bit of the way, and finally arrive to rest at our very, very special, sacred, lonely place in the wilderness. We had never really come across this view of the coastal bears in this particular region near Salmon Creek. And it was an amazing sight because they derive most of their nutrition not from killing caribou, not even from eating salmon. Most of their nutrition comes from eating grass, but a very peculiar type of grass that we actually ate ourselves out here on the coast that was quite delicious. And you see these big, tough grizzly bears in this field of grass like cows just grazing and munching, and they can't get enough of it, and they're eating ferociously this grass. And you would think if you were far enough away that you're seeing a field of cows grazing, that it's a cattle ranch, but in truth, it's these grizzly bears that are getting all their nutrition from grass. These coastal grizzly bears are just an amazing enigma. They're not going after salmon, and they're not trying to kill caribou calves or moose calves, or even dig up rabbits or tubers. They're just eating grass. And when you see them all in the grassy fields of the coast of Alaska, they almost look like cattle. They're just grazing like cattle. And now, after having his fill of grass and having gone to the bathroom, he heads to the tidal shore where he's going to do clam digging. They may go out when the tide goes out. These are the second largest tides in the world, and they go out extremely far. And they go out on that muddy tidal land, and they dig for clams. Now, bears never used to dig for clams. They just don't do that. It's not natural. But one year in the 1970s, it was reported that a bear came in that came up with this idea to dig for clams. And before you know it, she taught all the other bears. And now all the coastal bears in this region are clam digging bears. And it's not as though this was in their instinct. This wasn't in their DNA. This wasn't what they were born to do. They learned to do it. So that even bears and many animals learn from each other, and they advance their culture, so to speak, like humans advance their culture by learning from each other. And you have this huge flat beach, which used to be the bottom of the ocean where the clams just love to reside. And they walk out here and they just dig out these clams. Now they leave their clam digging heaven because they're really stuffed with grass and clams, and they walk right by us as close as 2 feet away from us. A little scary, but we're not on their menu, and all they're looking for is a place now to lie down and rest and digest their enormous meal of grass and clams.
Just bring your fly in the boat. Inside.
That's all. Oh yeah.
What do you think, Sherman? Holding on?
I'm holding on. Oh. Sea sweepers can be dangerous. Yahoo!
It's a nice one.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to go downstream. Oh!
Alright.
Oh, yes!
Sherman.
Yeah. Oh, that was cool. That's the chute.
That's the chute. A little bumpy, but we made it.
Fun. We leave the Copper River in our airplane and fly back to the lodge to rest again after an extremely busy day. People wonder, what do you do out here without any restaurants or theaters or symphony? How do you really find time to pass the day? What do you do? Well, first place, these are the most beautiful artwork sculptures anywhere in the world, and what we encounter every day in the wilderness in Alaska in the time of COVID. So while COVID made us all alone, here we were in the wilderness, alone without any distractions from guests or other people, just us there, surrounded by mountains and waterfalls and beautiful lakes and rivers, and with the grizzly bears and with the fish. And we were alone in the wilderness, but you know, when you're alone in this beautiful wilderness, you really aren't alone because you're interfacing with the whole universe. We're together with the universe. We're more together when we're alone in the Alaska wilderness than we ever are when we're socializing or with a busy city life. So we're surrounded by the greatest art museum in the world. The Chickmit Mountains and the Katmai Range and the grizzly bears and the incredible sunrises and sunsets and rainbows and waterfalls. We're really surrounded by the greatest work of art ever made.